Kyle Busch crashes in Mexico and falls far behind in playoff points. He made a big mistake in the rain and now has a lot of work to do to catch up.
Just waiting for whichever line. Huge push. And around goes a two. Too big of a push. He caught the 41.
The big one.
Logano's caught up in it.
Kyle Busch has just suffered a downfall that defies belief, and what's been exposed has left NASCAR observers across the country absolutely stunned. The two-time Cup Series champion, one of the most experienced drivers on the track, made a costly mistake that ruined his Mexico City race and likely ended his playoff hopes. After years of struggles at Richard Childress Racing, this latest failure has finally forced the NASCAR world to face the ongoing issues that have plagued his time with the team. The trouble started at Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez during NASCAR's first modern-era International Cup Series race, where Busch was expected to use his road course skill and past Mexico City success. But on lap 7, while racing in wet conditions, he made an aggressive move to brake harder into turn 1. His car snapped around, causing him to slam into Justin Haley's number. 7 Chevrolet then collide with Kyle Larson's number, 5 and J. Allmendinger's number 16, turning the situation into a major wreck. The NASCAR world has been watching Busch's struggles for an extended period, recognizing what his performance decline represents for a former championship contender. The number 8 Richard Childress Racing Chevrolet sustained too much damage, and Busch finished 37th, last place, raising fundamental questions about his competitive capability. Who exactly causes multi-car accidents due to driver error rather than equipment failure? The organization wants to ensure fans understand that veteran drivers face accountability for costly mistakes through deliberate consequence implementation and playoff implications. This wasn't just a racing incident. As an experienced champion, Busch is expected to manage tough conditions with control and smart decisions. Instead, he misjudged his braking and grip, lost control, and took out multiple cars. It was the most costly mistake by any single driver that weekend in Mexico City. Busch recently revealed his tactical miscalculation in a particularly damaging post-race statement that exposed his complete misjudgment. "Just in the rain, I went down into turn 11 and got on the brakes pretty hard. And everything was fine. Everything was comfortable. It stopped really good. And I thought, okay, I can be a little bit more aggressive this time. As soon as I went to the brakes, it was just on ice. And I was sliding, and so about a second and a half or so, I was just trying to figure out which direction to go." This comprehensive confession exposes Busch's systematic error, overconfidence in changing conditions, aggressive decision-making without proper assessment, and complete loss of vehicle control that justified multi-car accident responsibility, ultimately demonstrating that experience doesn't guarantee sound judgment during crucial competitive moments. The multi-car involvement demonstrates the catastrophic nature of Busch's mistake. Chase Briscoe in the number 19 Toyota and Zane Smith in the number 38 Ford were also involved in the wreck, creating widespread competitive disruption beyond the primary contact vehicles. Busch and Larson headed to the garage for repairs while Haley, Allmendinger, Smith, and Briscoe all went to pit road for damage assessment and necessary repairs. The repair outcomes reveal the severity of impact damage throughout the incident. Briscoe returned and rebounded to finish 7th, demonstrating remarkable recovery from the accident involvement. Allmendinger finished 13th, Haley 24th, and Smith 35th, all managing to salvage decent finishes despite the early race disruption. Larson returned late in Stage 2 after spending significant time in the garage and finished 36th, losing crucial championship points due to Busch's error. Busch couldn't continue and was scored in 37th, last place, representing his first DNF of the Cup Series season and creating devastating playoff implications. He was evaluated and released from the infield care center, confirming no physical injury despite the dramatic accident sequence. The playoff implications create catastrophic consequences for Busch's championship aspirations. Currently standing 15th in the points tally, Busch faces the possibility of dropping out of the playoff cutoff line because of the Mexico City DNF. Between the wreck and Shane Van Gisbergen winning his way into the playoffs, Busch is now 50 points below the cut line as the series heads to Pocono Raceway. The competitive landscape adds pressure from emerging playoff contenders. Drivers such as Carson Hocevar A.J. Allmendinger and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. are vying for postseason spots. At the same time, Austin Cindric and Josh Berry have already clinched their places with wins earlier this season. Busch's DNF provides these competitors with crucial opportunities to gain ground in the playoff race. The historical context makes the Mexico City failure particularly painful. Busch was the last NASCAR driver to claim a win in Mexico City, achieving victory in the 2008 Corona Mexico 200 Nationwide Series event when he drove for Joe Gibbs Racing. Busch and Denny Hamlin retained the distinction of being the only active Cup drivers with victories at the Mexico City track, making his crash even more disappointing given his previous success at this venue. The fan reaction demonstrates widespread criticism regarding Busch's performance and mistake. Kyle Busch Tokyo drifted into the corner, one fan wrote, highlighting the dramatic nature of his loss of control. Kyle Busch is washed, another user stated, reflecting growing sentiment about his competitive decline. Time to hang it up, one fan declared, suggesting retirement consideration following repeated struggles. The weather conditions create additional context, but don't excuse the fundamental driving error. NASCAR's decision to race in wet conditions sparked some fan criticism, with one user writing, "So stupid. Go all that way and race in the rain in front of empty grandstands. What a joke." However, other drivers successfully navigated the same conditions without causing multi-car accidents. The Richard Childress Racing tenure continues to yield disappointing results despite the organization's support. Busch recently extended his contract with RCR for another year, but his struggles to contend for victories have become increasingly prominent. His last Cup win was at Worldwide Technology Raceway 2 years prior, demonstrating an extended winless streak despite competitive equipment. The hydroplaning explanation reveals a fundamental miscalculation regarding grip levels and braking zones. "As soon as I went to the brakes, it was just on ice, and I was sliding," Busch explained, acknowledging complete loss of control. "I was just trying to figure out which direction to go, and then I was like, I've got to turn this thing around backwards because I'm going to nail some people." The damage assessment confirms the severity of impact forces throughout the accident sequence. The number 8 Chevrolet sustained too much damage to continue, representing complete race-ending failure rather than repairable damage that other involved cars experienced. This outcome demonstrates the primary responsibility Busch bears for the accident's consequences. The championship mathematics create daunting recovery requirements for playoff qualification. 50 points below the cut line represents a significant deficit requiring multiple strong finishes or a race victory to overcome. With limited races remaining before playoff determination, Busch faces mounting pressure to achieve immediate results. The Mexico City opportunity represented crucial playoff positioning potential that Busch completely squandered through individual error. The international race provided bonus points opportunities and potential victory that could have secured playoff qualification, making the DNF outcome particularly costly for his championship aspirations. The veteran status creates higher expectations for sound decision-making during challenging conditions. Two-time champion experience should translate to superior car control and risk assessment rather than over-aggressive mistakes that destroy multiple competitors' races and personal championship hopes. The road course expertise makes the error more surprising given Busch's historical success on similar layouts. His previous Mexico City victory and road course experience should have provided competitive advantages rather than contributing to fundamental driving mistakes during crucial moments. The coming weeks will determine whether Busch can recover from this devastating setback or if his championship aspirations remain permanently damaged by the Mexico City disaster and its cascading playoff implications.